From recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex, I'm your host, Steve Urban, and here is your Riderflex podcast episode of the day. Man, you're a handsome guy, Larson. Geez,
Oh.
I gotta get more people like you on video.
Well, thank you. That made my day. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, man, I got to get some more good-looking people on the show. Larson Stair on the Riderflex podcast. How you doing, Larson?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing good. You in Boulder today?
I'm actually in downtown Denver today. Yeah.
Okay. Do you live in Denver or Boulder?
I live in Denver. Yeah.
Okay.
We did some commuting up to Boulder during the Techstars program in spring of 2020, but we spend most of our time in Denver.
Gotcha. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself personally before we get into business. Are you from Wisconsin or did you just go to school there? But anyway, give me some early family stuff and walk me through some college years. Go for it.
Certainly. Yeah. I am a Wisconsin native. So I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Spent, the first, 18 years of life there, and then was accepted into UW-Madison. So spent the next 4-ish years in Madison, Wisconsin. I went to school. I was pre-med. That's what I went to school for.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I went to school for clinical laboratory science and wanted to go to medical school. And so kind of went through that, graduated, got all that done. And ironically enough, started a business in my senior year of college and decided that, you know what, I don't think I want to go to medical school. I think I'm better fit for sales. And I think I'm better fit I want to go into software actually. And so that's kind of some of the earlier stuff, which we can certainly loop back to.
Well, let me ask you about your parents and any siblings real quick. I just want to know about that before I go further down that whole med school transition to entrepreneur. Tell me about your folks. What did your mom and dad do?
Yeah, so my dad was an engineer. He worked for Harley Davidson.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's just take a pause right there.
Certainly.
I mean, how many kids grow up being able to say, my dad works for Harley Davidson? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Very few. And even cooler was he got a new bike every year. So he got to trade him out. And so he was riding the best new bike every single year, which is pretty cool.
Nice. Okay. All right. What'd your mom do?
My mom's a social worker. So she works with terminally ill cancer patients and has worked in the ER for quite some time. So she works with kind of that sector of healthcare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, I just picked up on two things here, right? So I know you do all this. I know you do all the skydiving and all this stuff, right? Okay. So the whole thrill factor, kind of wild side, kind of like I'm a little bit of a rebel. That probably comes from your dad because he was a Harley guy. And then you got the med side from your mom, right? Because she grew up helping people and you're like, I might want to go to med school. So I see a blend of both of them in you already.
I certainly agree. And my mom's really empathetic. You have to be in that type of industry. So I hope that I embody at least a fraction of what she does. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, she must have, I mean, she's got to be super patient person too, right?
Yeah. She's an angel.
Wow.
She's great. Yeah.
I mean, you got a heart of gold to be able to do that line of work, right? I mean,
I don't know how she does it sometimes. I mean, some of the stories that I hear and, but I think she's really good at it. It's a really tough time for her patients and she's really good at it.
I mean, just about the time she starts to get close to people, then they pass away as well, right?
Yeah, it's really tough. And I have to imagine it takes a big toll on her, but some people are really well suited for that. And she's one of those people.
Okay. Are they still married?
They are. Yeah.
Are they lifelong Packer fans? Do they have like tickets to the game?
They are. My parents are more Badger fans though. This is why going to Madison was a huge deal for me. I've been going to games since I was 5.
Really
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, wow. So they have season tickets.
They do. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Very
We've been
cool.
going to Badger games for quite some time, and they're showing up there every Saturday. When I went to school there, they'd park in our yard and tailgate with us and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Are you serious? Was your dad one of those guys that pop open a beer with all the fellas?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I like your parents. They sound really cool. Did you have any siblings?
I do. Yeah. I have a younger brother who's about 4 years younger than me. He works as a physical therapist with quadriplegics and paraplegics.
Wow. Okay. All right. So your
Yeah.
parents got to be pretty proud, right? Of both sons. All right. Now, did you pick on him? Were you like one of those big brothers that kind of like,
Maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit. But he was bigger than me in our later high school years. So we're both 6'3". He's probably got 20, 30 pounds on me though. And he's a big guy. He's pretty good at football too. So like I don't mess with him. I'm good. I don't need to get any fights here.
I was gonna say, if you're 6'3", you guys were probably athletes in high school, huh? Played some sports.
Yeah, my brother was certainly better than I was. It was more of the academic route, we'll say. But I certainly played football, played tennis, played a whole slew of things, just like my brother did.
When you went to Madison, did you go on a full ride?
No, no, no.
No, no.
Just paid my way. Paid no full rides for me.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Wish.
So you go into school thinking you want to be a doctor.
Mhm.
And then you do some shadowing and some stuff where you're like around doctors, you're in the hospital, you're doing all this stuff.
Certainly.
What clicked for you? Did somebody like pull you aside? Did you have like an advisor or an early mentor that was like, hey bro, like you should be in sales, not a doctor? Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, I think so I spent probably 3.5 years in the ER. So I worked as a medical scribe. So I basically followed doctors around with a laptop and took all their notes for them. So I did
Wow.
that
Okay.
for many, many years. And I liked the ER because it was really exciting. It
Mhm,
changes up quite a bit.
mhm.
But the ironic part is almost all the doctors that I really respected and liked a lot were convincing me not to go to medical school. They were
Why?
saying, I think a lot of them were just like medicine is changing. We have less control now because of what healthcare is, changes in healthcare that are happening. And it was just less enjoyable for them. And the ER too has a fairly high burnout rate. I think about average is about 7 years of a career there before they burn out because
I
it
could
can
see
be so
that. I
taxing.
could see that. Okay. All right. So you had a few of them in your ear telling you, hey man, don't do this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then kind of what happened there is, so I was a pre-medical student working as a scribe for doctors, and I was getting paid for it. It was like getting paid to shadow, and it was helping my resume. And I was
Okay.
like, well, this is a good business here. Like doctors get paid $300-400 an hour. I could pay a medical student $7 an hour, $8 an hour, and they could take all the notes. And so this business idea came up where I was like, what if I just had a staffing business? I could just hire pre-med students, sell it to doctors in the ER, and then train them myself because I know how to train people. And like that's kind of where I kind of explored business a little bit,
I
kind of
see.
utilizing that knowledge there.
Now,
So that's what started it.
where did this entrepreneurial bug come from? Like, how'd that manifest in there? Because neither one of your parents were entrepreneurs. So were you hanging around some friends that were entrepreneurs? How'd this happen?
I don't know. It's a really good question. Like,
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
it was just kind of brought to me. And then I was like, I just kept, just exploring. I think that's what a lot of the beginning phases of entrepreneurship is like,
Mhm,
I have an idea that I think could work. Okay,
mhm.
let me just kind of work through these problems. And then it becomes easier and easier, and the vision becomes more clear, which is kind of
Okay.
what happened to me. I didn't
Okay.
really have any early stage mentors at that point in time.
Okay. So you started this little business. I mean, you filed for like an LLC. This was a real entity. Okay.
Yeah, I had investors. I did the whole thing. Yeah.
What investors? Oh, so you raised cash back then. I didn't know you raised cash that early. Oh, tell
It
me
was
how
small,
much did you raise?
a whopping $15,000.
Hey man, I mean, that's great experience though. How old were you?
Yeah. I was 21 years old. Yeah, I was in my senior year of college.
Senior year of college. You must have told your friends like, I just raised $15,000.
Well, and crazy enough, it was from my boss at the time. So I went to my boss and I was like, "Hey, man, do you
Wow.
want to start a business with me?"
How
And
about that?
there we go.
Okay, so was this your full-time job or were you still doing the other gig?
No, I was still, well, I was still a student. So I was in my senior year of college, had my
Right.
medical school applications in. I was still working the other job. And then we were working this one to try to get this up and running and going.
Well, you busy guy. Did you have relationships at that time as well? Girlfriends, boyfriends? What
Not,
were you involved or?
no, not at that time. No, no girlfriends at that time. It was senior year of college, right? It was kind of see where we go after this. So no time for
Yeah.
relationships.
Okay. All right. So you're having fun. You're a senior in college. You're a busy guy. All right. So what happened? It lasted 2 years. What did you
Yeah,
close it, sell it? What happened?
we failed. We
Wow.
failed at it.
You ran out of cash?
I mean, we didn't really have a lot of expenses, honestly. The problem is I didn't know how to sell.
Okay.
I was relying on my business partners. Like I was going to be the training and implementation person, and my business partners were going to be the salespeople. And I didn't know how to sell, didn't know how to do that, and we had the wrong people selling it. I should have learned how to sell myself and kind of taken it as CEO. But that's kind of where we fell short, is we didn't really make any traction on the sales front and ran into a few roadblocks there.
Let's just take a pause right there for the listeners. I don't care how good your idea is. I don't care how great your service is. I don't care how good your product is. If somebody ain't out there knocking on doors, selling it, bringing in cash, game over.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. I don't know any other way to put it. I say that all the time. Even at Riderflex, we live and die by the contracts we bring in. Now, the recruiters that do the work have to do a good job once we get the contracts, but the seed that makes the plant grow is the sales. Somebody's got to get the contracts, get the deals. Okay.
Absolutely.
So great learning lesson for you. So then what? You closed up shop and you're like, okay, I guess I'll go get a regular job here. Is that what happened?
Got to get a sales gig. That's what I was like,
Okay.
I need to learn how to sell. So where can I go do that?
Now, did you specifically, I want to pause you right there. It's easy for you to say, I think now, but in the moment, were you saying to yourself, I'm going to get a job to learn how to sell, to restart another business?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. You had some early vision there. Early vision.
Yeah.
Great for you.
Yeah. Well, and it was fairly easy for me at the time. So my actual co-founder now, I went to college with.
Okay.
And so he and I said 10 years ago that we wanted to start a business together. We wanted to start a software company. He didn't know how to code and I didn't know how to sell. And so we took the next 10 years and learned that. And so it was quite literally like a 10-year mission for us to get to this spot that I'm at today. We set it years ago and had to build the skills to get here.
So let me, I'm just having a vision here. So you're working a couple of different sales jobs here, selling some hearing aids and different things. And so you're in these sales gigs, some years are going by. Your buddy's working for a company writing code, basically.
Yep.
Is that what he's doing? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then you guys are getting together for happy hour from time to time and talking about the dream and thinking of it, you're writing some plans out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, good. Now, anybody married at this point? Anybody have any kids, anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, so my co-founder got married, I think the year after we graduated. I think it was 2013 is when he got married. We graduated in 2012.
All right.
So no kids at that point in time. When we graduated, no wives or no girlfriends. Or Jack had a girlfriend, but a fiance rather, but not myself.
Okay. All right. I was wondering how, because the reason I asked that question is because if you're in a regular job and you're meeting your buddy for happy hour saying, let's start a business, bro. Sometimes if you're married with kids, it's like, well, I don't know. I got this giant mortgage. Plus I just bought this car and I kind of need to keep my regular job. Okay. So just trying to weigh out your risk factors there. All right. So you're moving along and you're working these jobs, and tell me what happens. How did I think you're at Bird Eye, a company called Bird Eye. And at some point you call your buddy and you're like, all right, man, I'm ready. Let's do this. Or talk to me.
Yeah. So, to your point, is throughout the years, there's a lot of happy hours, a lot of failed ideas. We went through business ideas after business ideas, prototypes. Like there were many businesses before Demoflow. So we had to practice. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Is you get a little bit further every time you go.
Business ideas or like entities you actually filed for and tried to start?
Business ideas. And we got smarter to build the prototypes before filing. Because we're like, let's do some testing here. Let's see if there's actually some validity to this.
Okay.
So we just got a little bit more curated in our building approach. But when the idea for Demoflow came to me, is I made the transition from hearing aid sales into software sales. Started as an SDR at Bird Eye, and had a pretty quick rise at that company. And I moved into a pre-sales solutions consulting role, where I was doing demos for the enterprise organization.
Okay.
And that's kind of where the idea came from me. I was just like, man, I have all these colleagues. Everyone presents differently. We're presenting the same product, and we know who we're presenting to. Why is there so much misalignment here? Or why are we not saying the same things? And so, we really sought to build a platform that can bring some consistency to these kind of live sales interactions or live presentation interactions.
So you called your buddy and you said, I got an idea. I need you to write the code for
Pretty much, yeah.
it.
Unfortunately, he's one of my best friends in the world. So like, he's like, this sounds great, man. Let's see if we can do it.
Okay. All right. And then at what point do you go all in? I'm assuming you're both all in at this point, not working any other gigs.
Yep.
At what point did you make that leap? What was the pivot point there where you said, okay, hey, let's quit our jobs and do this? How did that happen?
Yeah, that's like honestly the most terrifying moment is like, we're quitting our jobs. We're like, this is all on us now.
Right.
But we had some help. We were fortunate enough to be accepted into the Techstars Boulder Accelerator program.
Okay.
So we went through that. We got accepted in November of 2019.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And
so that's when, so you waited, so you applied, you were both still working, you get accepted, boom, you quit.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah.
Was that scary the day you walked in and talked to your boss and you said, hey man, I'm quitting?
It was exciting. It was exciting. Like I've just known that this is what I'm supposed to do. So it's like, hey, it's gonna be fine.
Now for the listeners, can you educate them? So when you did that, you get accepted to Techstars. It's like what is it? Like a 3-month course, pretty hardcore. You need to be there all the time. You can't really work a full-time job and do it, right? I don't think.
No.
But how do you live and eat and pay the bills? Do they give you a little cash up front? How do you do that?
Yeah, so Techstars has an amazing offer where they do a straight equity deal of 20,000 for 6%, which is all just public, and they'll also do another 100,000 of investment on top of that,
okay.
Which is optional. And so Jack and myself, decided to take that to give ourselves some livelihood for the future, and make sure we can actually go through that program and then expand.
Okay. Okay, so they got more than 6% then, if I'm adding things up right.
They did, yes. So yeah, it was a convertible note on the 100, but yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, so that's how you survived, so to speak, with some cash. That got you going. All right.
Yep.
Wow, what a weird time to get accepted into Techstars, right? What did you get? Was the class supposed to start in March of 2020 or something like that?
Well, it actually started in like late January, so we were halfway through program.
Halfway through.
Yep, when it went remote. So half was in person, half was remote.
For the listeners, by the way, we're recording this on February 9th, 2021. And Larson is talking about how he went into Techstars right at the beginning of COVID and the pandemic. Okay, so man, that was probably weird, right? I mean, damn.
Yeah, it was. Remember when we thought it was only gonna be 2 weeks? That it was just gonna be done in 2 weeks. Yeah, I remember that time.
You had to be, were there a few nights like, remember when we were getting those alerts on our phones, like stay home? Oh my God. Remember those? So right about there, there had to be a few nights where you're thinking, holy shit, I quit my job. We're trying to start a business in the worst possible time. And like, I don't even know, is the world coming to an end or like, well, what's going to happen here?
Yeah. And to make matters worse is I need to go fundraise now. And
right.
I need to go raise some capital, which is like, okay, I've never done this before. So let's do it in pandemic.
I can just see that. Hey guys, listen, we've never, this product is not proven. We don't have any revenue. And I know COVID is here and we have no idea where the world's going, but can you guys like give us some cash?
Yeah. It was certainly a challenge, no doubt.
Who taught you how to pitch? I guess Techstars teaches you how to pitch and you get your decks ready and how to ask people to write checks, right?
Certainly. Yeah. They do an excellent job of not only preparing you for how to pitch, the deck preparation, but also the investor network. They were, single-handedly one of the biggest influences on us getting the funding done. So they were super helpful.
Now, when you went to pitch, was the product, I guess was it still in what you call beta, or was it like ready to sell? Was it ready to take to market? Where were you at in the lifespan of the company when you were asking for investment, I guess is the question.
Yeah. So we were fairly early, like we were in the marketplace, we were selling it, but we're like in our early adopter phase, like where people could pay us. It was a nominal fee, but we still needed to build out quite a bit more and had a lot of product to continue to build before it was like ready for mass market adoption, really.
So you were going to clients or customers or whatever saying, hey, listen, we don't really have, this is not a fully baked model, but if you guys want to try it, we'll let you have it for super cheap, and then you can give us some feedback.
Certainly. Yep.
Is that how it worked? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Really good on the early side.
Right now would probably be a great time for you to give us the 3-minute elevator pitch of Demoflow for the folks that have no idea what we're talking about. Go ahead, give it to us.
Certainly. So at Demoflow, we really help software sales organizations create a more captivating presentation. The whole purpose is, how do we make a better connection with the recipient on the other end, that audience member? And for them, I mean, they're looking at back-to-back solutions all day, every day. And so how do you really make a genuine connection and, captivate someone's attention and differentiate yourself from the rest? And so our solution allows an organization to create standard presentations that the reps can come in, say the right things, walk through the right, slide decks, actual, platform URLs of presenting their software, all the while giving them a place to take notes, push it back to CRM, send follow-up items. Think of it as a sales platform for preparation, the live presentation, and then follow-up after the fact for really all of your sales meetings.
Okay, very good. Does it tie in? I guess it ties into like Salesforce and Google, Gmail, or does it tie to everything?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we're getting there. So Salesforce, G Suite, Office 365, Box, Dropbox, Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, Zoom, a whole slew of different applications that most sales reps are using on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so walk me through this. I want to ask you how this would apply to my own world then. Maybe I can get a better feel for it.
Yeah.
So right now at Riderflex, so we use HubSpot, for sales. We use Google Drive for storing a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And Gmail. I use Evernote for my daily kind of planning and so forth. We use attachments, contract agreements and decks and things that we send via email when we're pitching.
Yep.
So how would that, tell me what it does for me? How would it walk me through some, an example there? Go ahead.
Certainly. So, with a static slide deck right now, what you have are just slides, right? You can't put in a video, for example, of Riderflex and a previous podcast. You can embed it into a PowerPoint slide, but it's not full screen. I couldn't go to Riderflex's website from a deck, right? So think of like PowerPoint on steroids. So you have your PowerPoint slide deck, but you can insert browsers at any junction as a slide. Okay. So you could move from a PowerPoint slide deck to the Riderflex website, to a customer video, to, an intake form for, this, that, or the other. So it just gives you more, types of content that you could be presenting on a call, and give you the ability to pull that in dynamically if you need to.
It sounds like you're kind of solving the salesperson's problem of fumbling through different things, opening and closing, and now I'm gonna. Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. Very good. Is it targeted? Is your target client, I guess you call them clients, is your target client tech companies, software companies, or are you gonna venture out past that? Talk to me about that.
Well, what I know best is software and tech companies. But that said, to your point, is the pandemic has forced everybody remote. So people can't sell in person anymore. They're developing new strategies to communicate and present over Zoom or other screen share platforms. And so there are other markets out there that it really applies towards. We're staying focused on kind of the B2B SaaS space initially, but there are certainly applications and customers outside of that.
By the way, for the listeners, demoflow.io. Okay, where are you at with clients? I mean, have you signed up 100, 50, 1,000, 5? I don't know what you want to share.
Yeah, we're just shy of about 40 customers to date right now.
And
we're getting into bigger and bigger customers. So none that are closed quite yet, or I could disclose, but there are big organizations that are coming on board, which are really exciting that, have hundreds of reps and will really get a lot of value out of the platform.
What was more exciting, getting the first big check written from an investor or closing your first contract with a real paying customer?
Probably the latter, a paying customer. Like,
Yeah.
anyone can give you money, but to justify the value of something that you've created from nothing, like that is really special.
It is, isn't it? I
It
mean,
is.
I'll never forget my partner and I, we actually took the check from the first customer who paid us a deposit to do a search, our very first search.
Mm-hmm.
And we're standing down at the bank, with the check and,
Yeah,
doing
it's so true.
it's,
It's a big
it's a,
deal. Like,
it's a big deal. You get your first client. You're like, wow, okay. Like somebody is going to pay us for something that we created, that we built as entrepreneurs. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
special, special emotional moment.
without question. And you never always forget those people, right? They take a bet on you early. So shout out to Buyer Bridge. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. I'll always remember you guys.
Nice shout out right there. So now you got your first customer when? When was that? Was that in the summer of 2020? When was that?
No, it was like in the fall of 2019. So just as we got accepted into Techstars,
Oh,
it's
I
like some of
see.
those things were starting to kind of come to fruition. It was like, hey, people are willing to pay
Okay.
us for this. That's pretty cool. Techstars accepted us, so that's also cool. We should probably try this thing out.
That's a lot better when you have a pitch deck and some revenue and paying customers, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even a little bit is something.
Nobody else was doing this. I mean, Salesforce, for example, I don't know. I mean, the HubSpot, I don't know, name it. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody had a tool like this.
I was as perplexed as you are right now. I just, it seems like such a green space,
Hmm.
a big need there. But
Okay.
no, it's not much.
Is the goal to have Salesforce tap you on the shoulder at some point and write you a big check? Is that the plan?
I think so. So Salesforce, if you're listening right now, let's get in touch here. But absolutely, yeah. I mean, I see there's a number of acquisition possibilities for us that would make a lot of sense. But really, I'm just focused on serving our customers right now and having a lot of fun doing it. Like I love what I'm doing right now, and as long as we stay focused on that, the good outcomes will all fall in place.
What's your revenue target for 2021? Can you share?
Yeah, certainly. We're gonna hit 1 million ARR this year.
All right. All right. Very
Yeah,
good. That'll be a major accomplishment.
certainly. Yep.
How do you separate duties? So your partner leads everything tech and software and developing.
Mhm.
So he's all that, and you're the sales and marketing guy. Is that in
Yep.
relationship guy? And okay.
Yeah.
Does that now sometimes software developers, they aren't great during cash raise meetings, because some
That could certainly be the case. Absolutely. But I'm
okay, I mean,
fortunate though.
okay.
That's not the case for me. Is my co-founder Jack on the technical side of things? He is equally as charismatic as I am, and
Oh, really?
yes, very much so. He is great on customer calls and investor
Oh,
calls. I bring
okay.
him in as much as I can.
Okay, very good. You guys got to, I mean, this is so important for the listeners. If you're going to have a co-founder, make damn sure that they have opposite skills, from you. Like you got to balance each other out. I mean, especially if you're starting a tech company, if you got one co-founder who can sell and the other one who can write code, and I don't know, maybe another one that's finance or whatever. I mean, wow,
Hmm.
you got a nice team right there just to start.
Absolutely.
How many employees?
So right now we are a team of 8, including us as founders, so 6 employees, and that should increase pretty substantially here in the next couple months.
All the other businesses you started or played around with, this is the furthest you've gotten, right? With the 6
Without question.
employees and
Yep,
okay.
without question.
And you've raised what, 1.5 million or something like that?
Yeah, we raised 1.6 million back in October.
Let me ask you a really important question here. I don't know if you want to share it, but are you and your buddy, are you guys together? If you add your units together, are you guys still in control?
We are. Yep, that's important. It's
Okay,
important.
great. So if you quote vote together, you're still in charge of the business.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very good. Good for you, my man. Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you.
We're still early, right? You got to maintain control as long as you can. But, I will say, fortunately, it's not really, even if we, give up control, our board is great and we really see eye to eye on the direction. So I'm not really too worried about, power dynamics as we move forward, which is also important. So keep control, but also choose your board correctly and choose your investors.
Right.
It's equally as important as your co-founder.
You got that right. Now this money you just raised, that round you just closed,
Mhm.
some of these investors, quite frankly, are still pretty new relationships, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much
Okay.
so.
Okay. So if you have an asshole in that group, you don't really know yet, but you'll find out pretty soon.
Certainly, yeah. Well, I tell you, when someone gives you $1 million, they want to meet with you frequently. They say, "Hey, I want to check up on you and see how things are going here." And it's all gone well so far. So,
Yeah, that is. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Just keeping it real here for the podcast listeners. Let me just tell you guys something right now. If you're listening to this show, yeah, you take $1 million from somebody, you're going to get phone calls. Okay.
oh yeah,
And they're going to want to know like, hey man, where are we at? Well, what's happening?
Mhm. Yeah. And the good ones will ask you the tough questions, right?
That's right.
Because that's what you want.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Your best board members will probably be the toughest because they'll make you spend time getting ready for them, right? And
Mhm.
answering tough questions. Now you don't have to deal with asshole board members, but you do have to deal with tough ones that will make you stronger, right?
Certainly, certainly.
Here's a good tip for the listeners. The best board member I ever had, I ran a few companies before Riderflex. The
Mhm.
best board member I ever had, I knew that when I prepared the board deck for the quarterly meeting, I would send him a copy early. And I'd send him a copy a couple of days before because I knew he would just chew the shit out of it. Right. And then I would get him on the phone before the actual in-person board meeting and let him kind of hammer away at me and kind of get it out of his system. So then when we went to the board meeting, it was super smooth because he was
That's
already kind of done.
that is an excellent tactic. So anyone listening, I did actually something identical where I had my first board meeting in December.
Okay.
And someone gave me some great advice just like that. And they said, hey, draft up a document, send it to everybody ahead of time so you can kind of work through some of those kinks and make sure the meeting goes really smoothly. So it's a great piece of advice.
So you just finished your first board meeting. Boy, I tell you what, Larson, they're exhausting, right? I mean, just like when you were done with it, were you just like, okay, wow, all right, I'm just completely drained.
Yeah, it really was. It was being on stage, if you will, or presenting really important things like that could be quite exhausting after the fact. So I took a few hours off afterwards and relaxed.
Oh, another great tip for entrepreneurs: if you have a board meeting, let's say it starts at 9 on a Thursday or whatever, and it goes until I don't know 3 or 2 or whatever after lunch, just plan on not doing anything else the rest of the afternoon or evening because you will be totally wiped out.
Absolutely agree.
That's great experience for you. First board meeting. How many board members?
Right now we have 3 people that have voting seats, my Jack and myself included. So just one voting board member,
Okay,
and then 2 observer seats who sit on there as well, who wrote us bigger checks.
How did you and Jack decide that you were going to be CEO versus him?
That's a really good question. I think it was just kind of the division of labor just kind of made sense. I don't know, just because I am on the sales side of the equation. I'm used to presenting more. I'm used to, I am a salesperson. Like that is a lot of what this role is selling investors, selling partnership stuff, selling customers. So it was just kind of a fairly easy conversation. It wasn't really anything. It was just kind of like, yeah, I think you should be CEO. And I'm like, cool, I agree. And that was kind of it.
Okay. Did you, when you guys first started, I forgot to ask you this, did you have 51 and he had 49, or you guys had 50-50? How'd you do it?
Always equal.
It was equal. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you disagree then?
We are very respectful in our disagreements. So, he and I, we've been friends for 11 years now. So like we've had a number of disagreements along the way, and we've done a lot of really fun and crazy, challenging things throughout in our friendship. So we certainly have disagreements, and we just kind of work through them just like anyone else would.
Well, I know you've done some crazy things because you went to college together.
We did. Yeah. Well, and just like you mentioned, I'm a skydiver, but I learned from my co-founder, Jack. So he's got 4 times as many jumps as I do.
Really? Okay. Now, when you say skydive, is this like I jump out of a plane and a parachute opens, or this is those wingsuits that I see these crazy guys doing?
Both, actually.
Both.
So
both. I didn't mean I didn't mean bucket you and like crazy, but really, wow. I'm serious. Like you're on the side of a cliff and you jump off and you like open your arms and little things come out.
Yeah. So, well, my co-founder did, that's base jumping off of a cliff. So my co-founder did the base jumping. I only go out of airplanes. So I'll take my wingsuit, I'll jump out of an airplane, go fly around the sky and use a parachute. And Jack and I do that together. And he used to base jump, but not so much anymore. Too dangerous.
You're right. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but yeah, I've seen YouTube videos of those guys doing that, thinking, holy crap, that's
Nuts.
like, that's pretty scary shit right there. Okay. So that must be a big time adrenaline rush, right? It must be just,
Oh, yeah.
is it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you've done like what, 200-300 jumps?
Yeah. I've done about 350 skydives over about 9 years or 8 years or so.
Now, are you addicted to it? Is it like a rush? Is it almost like a drug a little bit?
Certainly, yeah. Well, to me, it's, it's less of the adrenaline now, and because life is really challenging now with a lot of things going on, it clears my
Right.
mind. It actually clears my mind. I don't focus on work. It's a break that's very genuine and true, which is nice.
Okay. Boom, right there. We're going to pause for the listeners again. Right here is another great tip. Okay. So Larson is telling you that skydiving is his release, right? It's like he almost has to take his mind off of work because I got to focus. I got to make sure I get my shit packed right so I don't die.
Yep.
I'm getting on this plane. I got to meet Johnny. He's going to fly me up there at this time. You're like, you got to focus on all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's a release for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not only it's a release from work, and it's plus it's just the cool factor of the adrenaline and all this stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
You really need something. If you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business and you're in startup, like you could work 24/7 if you wanted to. You could work all the time. It's you're never really done, right? There's no done. My wife always asks me, "Are you done for the day?" I'm like, "Well, I'm never done, but I guess I'll stop."
Yeah, sure. That's so true.
But my point was going to be, so I'm the same, right? So my hobby is solo camping that I do in Colorado. Same thing. I got to prepare my gear. I got to prepare my route. I got to make sure I find the spot I want off road in the wilderness, away from everybody. And all of this takes energy and minutes in my head to get ready for it. Same thing. It's a total release for me. So for the listeners, I don't care what your hobby is, whatever it is, you need something, right? You got to have
certainly.
something.
And to double down on that, like it is so easy to work nonstop. Like it is so easy. Anyone who has started anything, like you just get drawn and sucked into this work bubble that you could go 7 days a week. But it's so important to get that release, whether it's working out, doing some yoga, going camping, jumping out of airplanes like a crazy person, whatever you want to do, you got to have that release there.
Totally agree. You can go 24/7, especially because usually it's a passion. Most people that start a business, there's some sort of passion connected to it. And the other thing is you got everything on the line. I mean, your chips are all in, baby. I mean, you could just, now that is also difficult, right, Larson? Have you found that? You're like, okay, I just took $1 million from people and it's Saturday afternoon and I'm like hanging out with my girlfriend and I'm not really working. And I feel like, oh my God, I feel almost guilty sometimes.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like, and I think that's probably what my focus is now is how do I be more black and white, more polar? So like if I'm off, I shut off my computer, I shut off my notifications, my phone, and I'm here and I'm present because it has to be one or the other. If I'm trying to work and pay attention to my girlfriend or anything like that, it doesn't work well. And you're giving half attention to both. So it's got to be black or white really in my world.
Very good. Good for you. Now, you guys are paying yourself now because you have cash in the bank. So you're actually taking a salary, probably still small, or probably still, it's not a huge salary, I'm guessing.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, it's small, but it does get us through the day. Yeah.
You can't take early cash from investors and then like pay yourself a giant salary. They'll be like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, what are you
pretty much.
Yeah. Right. Like you can't. Yeah. Okay. So your girlfriend, she got a girlfriend. You just told me you got a girlfriend. All right. What's her story? What's she do?
Yeah. So I actually met, my girlfriend's name is Molly and I've actually met her at Bird Eye. So at my first software company, I trained her as an SDR and then she very quickly surpassed me. I don't know how that happened, but she's a great trainer, I guess. But and we were just friends for a couple of years, and then we've been together for just about 3 years now.
Now that's a touchy subject right there. Somebody you work with, especially somebody that you're training and you kind of quote over a little bit, and then you're like, okay, how do I want to make a pass at her, but I don't want to like break any HR rules. Ooh, man, that's thin ice.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we waited. So she left the company, and that's when we started to date. So we
Okay.
waited a little while. So no HR problems. So Bird, I don't worry there. Don't worry about it. We're all good.
Were you like,
But
as
yeah,
soon
so we
as,
waited.
as soon as she quit, were you like, hey, now that you don't work there anymore, listen, I've had this, crush on you for like the last 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. More or less. Yeah.
Very, very cool. What does she do? Does she still work there?
Not at Bird
Or,
Eye,
or, I
no,
mean,
but she,
no,
uh,
yeah,
she-
okay.
yeah, she works in software sales though now. She
Okay.
works at a company called Iterable in their
Uh,
enterprise segment.
okay. All right. Good for you. All right. Now, does she think it's cool that you're in startup? Does she think it's dangerous, or what's her thoughts on it?
I think she knows me and she knows that this is what I'm supposed to do and I have to do this. Like this is what I've been wanting this for so long. And I think she wants to be an entrepreneur herself. So she's got some risk tolerance there too.
Oh,
And
oh.
yeah, so it's okay in our house.
If she wants to be an entrepreneur, how about why don't she join the company? Or you want to like have a little separation there?
Oh, she's one of the best salespeople I know, but she won't take the offer. I don't know what's going on.
All right. By the way, what do your folks think of what you're doing?
I think that, well, my parents were actually the ones that tried to convince me to start the scribing business when I was 21.
Okay.
So it was their idea. So they,
All right.
I think, have helped to kind of spark this entrepreneurial bug. And then, you can't really go back on it now and be like, hey, this is
Right.
probably a bad idea.
Right. Right.
And I just haven't stopped. So I think they're excited for me and they're proud and really happy about what I'm doing.
Good for you, man. Well, hey, congratulations on where how far you've gotten. It's already. I mean, geez, you
Thank
got
you.
some customers. You got a product that's out there that
Mhm.
that works. People
Yep.
are people are buying it.
Yep.
Investors are giving you cash.
Hmm.
You're able to pay the bills. You're living. You're still able to go skydiving a little bit.
I know. Life is good. Life is real good.
And now you can actually take your girlfriend out to dinner in Colorado a little bit because
Right.
restaurants are kind of starting to free up a little
Exactly.
bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a happy time.
By the way, wasn't it great? I don't know. My wife and I, we go out to eat all the time, or at least we did before COVID,
Mhm.
right? One of our favorite things to do is like meet for happy hour or go out to eat.
Yeah.
When the restaurants started opening back up, I immediately was like, "Hey, we're going." And even
Yeah.
if it's like 20% open, like we were like first person in line.
Right. Yeah. It's really nice to see that kind of opening back up again. It feels like it's been forever.
So awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen, congratulations, Larson, on everything. For the listeners, again, demoflow.io. You can also look Larson up on LinkedIn and check him out there and ping him, connect with him.
Mhm.
I'm sure he would take any phone calls from people that want to use his product or
Certainly.
invest.
Certainly. Yeah.
Is there another round coming or you're waiting on that as far as, okay.
Yeah, I think, we have some pretty big news coming up in like the next 30 to 60 days or so. And so I think there could be some funding potentially in the near term, but certainly towards the end of this year.
Hmm.
I imagine that will probably be, raising another round here towards the end of this year.
Okay. Last question. If you could put your core purpose in life into a sentence, what would that sound like?
Oh, my core purpose into a sentence. Well, what I hope that this journey that I'm on and I can help other people to inspire other people. I don't know if this is in a sentence, but like that it's possible that we set this 10-year goal and that we worked at it and grinded for 10 years and we're here. Like we got to the spot. This is possible. If you have a vision of what you want to do, you can go get it. You just have to put in the daily work and make it all happen. So I hope to embody that and that like, wow, like it really sought out 10 years ago and made it happen. So if there's anything I want to inspire and embody that kind of that trait there, I would say.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Larson, for being on the Riderflex podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate you having me.
If you think today's tip or guest interview can help someone you know, please share this with them. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviewing. You can visit riderflex.com to learn more about us and get information and pricing on the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Thanks so much for listening and have a great day.